Welcome to the podcast series, Small Business Survival Conversations. Through our weekly conversations, we hope to provide you with strategies and insights, knowledge and expertise to enlighten you as you work to build and grow your business.
Good morning, business warriors. I'm your host, Anna Steinfest, and it is Monday morning. Today, I want to talk about something that nobody puts on the inspirational posters. Nobody brags about it on LinkedIn. Nobody wakes up saying, "Today, I hope I get to do the same thing over and over again." But this may be one of the biggest differences between businesses that stay average and businesses that become exceptional. And that one thing is repetition. Now, don't confuse this with mindless repetition, doing the same thing badly, let's say, over and over again for the last 10 years. I'm talking about doing something, watching what happens, making one small adjustment and doing it again, and then again, and then again, until something ordinary becomes extraordinary. Because business warriors, brilliant, usually looks very boring while it is being built. So I'm going to talk about this fairy tale that I'm sure everybody remembers. And in the past, I've used that in one of our podcast episodes. And that fairy tale is about the three little pigs. And for those of you who don't remember the story or have not refreshed it recently, I just wanted to refresh that. So these three little pigs leave home and each one builds a house. The first pig builds a house from a straw. So he builds this fast and easy, done. Then the wolf comes, he blows the house down. The second pig builds the house from sticks, a little stronger, of course, a little better. But again, the wolf comes again and the house falls too. The third pig builds the house with bricks. It takes longer, it requires more work, more patience, more attention. And when the wolf arrives, that house stands. And as you know, we usually tell this children's story as a lesson about hard work. But I want you to look at this from a different angle. I want you to look at that as an entrepreneur. What if those weren't three pigs? What if they were three versions of the same business owner? So the first version of this business owner is saying, "I think this will work." And then he or she build it, test it, and of course, it fails. The second version says, "Okay, I learned something from the previous version." So he or she changed something and again test it. Of course, it was not strong enough. And the third version will, with all the experience from the prior two versions, says, "I know more now than I knew before." So it builds differently and test it again. And this time, of course, the third version holds. And that is entrepreneurship. And here's the problem. Most business owners want the brick house on the first attempt. We want the perfect website before anyone sees it, the perfect product before anyone buys it, the perfect presentation before we give it, the perfect sales pitch before we call anyone or the perfect social media video before we post it. We want version 10 without going through versions 1 through 9. And because version 1 isn't perfect, we sometimes never launch it. That's the sad part. So, business warriors, perfectionism can look very professional. You can call it research, planning, getting ready, making sure everything is right. But sometimes it is simply fear wearing a nice outfit. So, let's talk about a real example. Imagine a small neighborhood bakery. The owner creates a new chocolate chip cookie. She thinks it's fantastic. She puts in to the display case so customers buy it. But she notices something that people are saying it's good, but they don't come back specifically for that particular chocolate chip cookie. So she changes one little thing, maybe a little less sugar, and tries again. Wow, now it's better. Then she changes the baking time, tries again. Customers like the texture more. Then she tries a different chocolate again. Then a little sea salt again. And 6 months later, people are driving across town for that cookie. And somebody even posts this online. Customers start buying boxes for their offices. Suddenly, everyone says, wow, she has an amazing cookie recipes. No, she has 40 slightly different cookie recipes and 39 lessons. The brilliance wasn't the first cookie. Remember that the brilliance came from paying attention to every cookie after it. And this is where being small is actually an advantage. A huge corporation may need meetings, approvals, budgets, committees, technology teams before changing something. But you can talk to 5 customers this afternoon, change the offer tonight and test it. And tomorrow morning, you can change that. That is an incredible advantage because small doesn't have to mean weak. Small can mean fast. Small can mean close to customers. Small can mean I noticed something wasn't working, so I changed it. That ability to learn quickly is one of the most powerful assets a small business has. And here is another mistake we small business owners make. We try something once and ask, did it work? That's usually the wrong question. You post one video, nobody watches, and you said, video doesn't work for my business. You send one email and nobody replies to that email, and you decide, well, the email marketing doesn't work. You attend one networking event and you did not bring any customers from it, and you decided that networking doesn't work. You introduce a new service and 3 people said no, and you decided that nobody wants it. Now I want you to remember that one attempt is not a data. One attempt is an experience. That is the difference. Instead of asking, did it work? I want you to ask, what did this attempt teach me? Maybe the video topic was wrong. Maybe the opening was too slow. Maybe the email subject line wasn't strong enough. Maybe you attended the wrong networking event. Or maybe the offer was good, but the price wasn't explained well. And maybe the customers weren't saying no to the service. Maybe they simply didn't understand what exactly you're offering and what is the benefit to them. And that is information. And information gives you something you can improve on. Now, here's the important part. Doing something 100 times doesn't automatically make you better. We have to agree on that. You can make the same mistake 100 times. That's not experience. That is a repetition without reflecting what was wrong. The magic happens when you pause between these attempts. Think about an athlete practicing a golf swing, like let's say. They don't hit 500 balls without looking. They hit, they watch, they adjust, and then they hit again. A small business needs the same discipline. I want to give you a simple system today, and I want you to remember. And we'll call that try, track, tweak. So TTT, try, track, tweak. Try so you can put something into the real world, not your notebook, not your imagination. I want you to put something, service, product into the real world. That's the trying, not just staying on the sidelines waiting for perfections. Then track. I want you to track what actually happened. What did the customer say? What did they buy? Where did they hesitate? What questions did they ask? What numbers changed? And the last one, tweak. Once you receive this data from tracking, you can change one thing, not everything, just one thing, and you know what it is, and run it again. Try, track, tweak. And that is how boring becomes brilliant. So let's say you own a cleaning company. You're having trouble converting estimates into customers. You can redesign your logo, change your website, lower your prices, or rewrite every email offer, or let's say offer a discount, and change your packages all at once. And maybe sales improve. Oh, that's wonderful. But what caused the improvement? You don't know. Instead, I want you to change one thing. Maybe after giving the estimate, you start following up 24 hours later instead of waiting a week and test it. Did this improve your conversion rate? If yes, then keep it. Then test something else. Maybe you include 3 package options instead of one price. And again, test it and track that. Is it better? If it's better, keep it. Over time, I guarantee you that you are not going to guess anymore. You're going to build a system from evidence. Or imagine another business, a small restaurant, one entry isn't selling. The owner could immediately remove it. Instead, she starts asking, what did you think? One customer says, I loved it, but I didn't understand what it was from the menu. Interesting. So maybe the food isn't the problem. Maybe the description in the menu was the problem. So she changes 3 lines on the menu, and of course, sales improved. That's a tiny change. And she learned that communicating with her customers. Sometimes the difference between something failing and succeeding is not a complete reinvention. It's 3 words, a different photo, maybe a better question, or faster follow up, or clearer price. That's why attention matters. When we look at successful businesses, we usually see the finished version, the beautiful storefront, the polished website, the big contracts, the wait list, the great presentation, the product everyone loves. What we don't see are all the things that didn't work. You have not seen the first logo they had, or the first pricing sheet they had, the terrible sales presentation they had, the product nobody purchased, the ad that wasted, let's say, $500 to $1,000. So, business warriors, success creates an optical illusion. Remember that. It makes the final version look inevitable. And remember that it wasn't like that at the beginning. It was built. And social media makes this worse. You see somebody else's business today and compare it to yours today, but you don't know which version they're on. You may be comparing your version 3 to their version of, let's say, 87. And then you say, I'm behind. My question is, behind whom? You're learning, you're building. The third little pig didn't stand there staring at someone else's brick house thinking, I guess I'm not talented. What he did is he built it, learn from the previous two versions of himself. And here is something that may surprise you. Some of the most profitable things in business are boring. Maybe you already know that. Returning calls quickly, following up with prospects, reviewing financial statements, updating customer records, asking for referrals, testing prices, calling on old customers. None of this sounds exciting. Nobody makes a movie about reconciling your QuickBooks. But business warriors, boring done consistently is often where profit lives. Your breakthrough may not be one giant idea. It may be 20 small improvements nobody else notices. I see entrepreneurs do this all the time. Something isn't working, so they changed everything. New logo, new service, new audience, new social media platform, new strategy, total new direction. And Monday morning arrives, and apparently we have a completely different company. I want you to slow down. Maybe you don't need a new business altogether. Maybe you need a better version of the business you already have. Remember the pigs. Straw didn't work. The lesson wasn't stop building houses. The lesson was build the next one better. So this changes how we think about mistakes. You don't want reckless mistakes, of course. And I know that you don't want to lose money unnecessarily. But a small control experiment that doesn't work, that can be incredibly valuable. Try the promotion with 50 customers before you reach out to 5,000. Why don't you test your product with 10 people before ordering 10,000 units? Offer a new service to 3 trusted customers before you start redesigning your entire website and changing all your services. So small tests and small risks will lead you to big learning. And this is how small businesses become smarter without betting everything. So, business warriors, here's what I want you to do this week. Choose one thing in your business that you want to improve, not 5, just one. Maybe it's your sales pitch, or maybe it's your customer follow up, your social media, your pricing, your proposal, your customer service, whatever it is. Just pick one thing And then write these 3 words at the top of your page. Try, track, tweak. First, I want you to try something. Put version 1 into the world. Then I want you to track what happens. Don't rely on feelings. I want you to look for evidence. And finally, tweak one thing, just one. Then try it again. And at the end of the week, I want you to have a version 2. Now, remember, it doesn't need to be brilliant. It needs to be better. Because better, repeated, eventually becomes brilliant. Business warriors, there is a reason the brick house survived. It wasn't built by someone who avoided failure. It was built with the lessons failure provided. So this week, I don't want you to be embarrassed by version 1. Don't wait for perfection. Don't confuse rough with wrong. And don't quit just because the first attempt didn't stand. I want you to build it, test it, and learn. Then build it again. Because customers may someday see the polished business, but you will know the truth behind the brilliance were hundreds of ordinary Mondays when you showed up, paid attention, and made one little thing, one little change better. I'm your host, Anna Steinfest, and this is Small Business Survival Conversations. Have an incredible week, business warriors. And remember, you don't become brilliant by waiting for a brilliant idea. You become brilliant by refusing to waste what every ordinary attempt is trying to teach you. Now, I want you to go and build version 2.
You've been listening to the Small Business Survival Conversation podcast. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode. In the meantime, hook up with us on our Facebook group at Small Business Survival Tools and Tips. Till next time, thank you for listening.